Here's a look that we did for Land O'Lakes Corporation for their intern day. The space was about like 15 to 18 feet wide and 12-foot tall ceilings. So we'll just kind of walk you through how we did this. So when I'm doing builds of this size, I like to have as much product inflated and ready to go as possible and as much of it put together before we leave for the day. So we are gonna load up as much as we can into the back of a U-Haul van. That way when we get to the location, we're not spending as much time inflating balloons. We're just kind of piecing the last things together and putting it up, adding the 5-inch balloons, things like that. I do pre-inflate all of my 5-inch balloons because that is what takes forever. For corporate builds and large builds, I do like to use fishing line. I usually start with about, I don't know, 4 arm lengths, 5 arm lengths. Otherwise it tends to tangle on itself. So there are some different tricks. If you guys want me to do a video on how to use fishing line, throw a comment down below and we'll get one of those up just to kind of show you how it's a little bit different than ribbon. It's same process, but there's a few things that you can do to make the fishing line work a little bit more for you. And so if you notice when I am putting together this type of build, I am not just going in a straight line. I'm kind of going back and forth and I'm weaving it. That's giving me a double thickness garland, even triple in some spots. So it makes it larger. I like to start with kind of a thicker type of a build. This is going to be in a spot like you saw with 12-foot ceilings. So I want to make sure that I have a nice amount of thickness before we start hanging it. We did a total of 6 colors, and there are roughly 75 11-inch balloons per set, and I think I did about 4 16-inch balloons. So to kind of get that extra thickness, I think each section was somewhere between 6 and 7 feet long. So you do kind of need all those extra balloons to really get that kind of double thickness. So everything's pre-assembled before we arrive, so when we get there, then we can just start mapping out where we're going to hang things. I do bring extra 5, 11, 16s of all the colors. I bring the 24-inch and the 36-inch balloons. I don't pre-inflate those. They take up way too much space in the back of the U-Haul cargo van. So now we can just start putting together the colors in the order that we want them, tying those up, and then we're going to go ahead and hang it. To hang the balloons, we are using Clik-Clik Magnets. I'm going to go ahead and link that below in the description so you can take a look at these. They're kind of used all over in retail stores for hanging signage and things like that. So these ones are weighted for 10 pounds and 20 pounds. The 10-pound ones are rectangular. They fit really well in these drop ceilings that have the sort of crossbars, if you kind of notice where we're attaching it to. So obviously you do have to have metal in order to attach the magnets to. But these are a really great, secure way of doing it. And the balloons are very lightweight, so it's not so much of a weight issue as it is if somebody were to like bump into it or, you know, God forbid, grab onto it. I know there was a kid that was kind of rolling around in the base of this and bumping into it, and it didn't go anywhere. Hopefully you don't have a full-grown adult just like trying to hang off of it, because that would definitely pull it down. But these are a pretty great way to put balloon garlands up because, you know, mostly they're going to be unbothered. Now that the main part of the garland is hung and ready to go, we'll start adding our large 36-inch balloons. We're only going to do a couple of those. We'll add in a few 24-inch balloons and then all of the 5s as well. I will add a few clusters of 11-inch balloons just to kind of fill out some of the areas where I thought that it looked a little thin. One thing about this being under a stairwell in the main entrance of the building is that there's a lot of people who have to pass under it. And so we didn't want it to be so thick that people were having to sort of duck around it. Plus, as you will see towards the end, the bottom side of it where it swags down is much thicker. So it just kind of like balances everything out really well. I'm now going to add the 5-inch balloons. We're going to start tucking those in there using 260 twisters and rubber bands. We have some other videos that kind of show you how we do this. And again, if you guys want to see a video that's more in depth on how we do each of these steps, go ahead and comment below. If you have specific questions, we're happy to kind of point you to the videos we already have, or maybe do something new. So we'll go through and we will add sections of 5s, and then we are going to start to work on the swag area where it's coming around the bottom. What I chose to do here is I chose to have the blue and the latte sort of bleed into one another, just to make sure I had all 6 colors in the build, and then also just to make sure that bottom was nice and thick. So I'm just kind of tying it in using fishing line, kind of wrapping it through there. There's kind of a whole technique on how to do that. Some of our videos are going to kind of cover that as well. So I won't get into it here, but I'm going to go ahead, attach that, add some large balloons, add some more clusters, and by the time we're done, we're left with this. And again, for this build, we used about 20 16-inch balloons, 450 11-inch balloons. We used 300 5-inch balloons, and then we did 3 24-inch and 2 36-inch. It's always going to be beneficial to have extra balloons of each size, even the large ones, just because you're never quite sure what areas need to be filled in and what areas don't. So I'll just kind of always plan for that. And just for fun, here is what the garland looked like a week later when we went to take it down. You can still see that everything is really nice and full. One of the ways that we maintain that is through proper filling of the balloons, and also it's in a temperature controlled area. So if these are outdoors, they're not going to last that long. Being in a constant temperature with a pretty consistent humidity also, because the humidity, heat, those kind of things reduce the life of balloons. So just be aware of that if you're doing things in different environments. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope this video helped give you a brief idea of what it looks like to do a corporate build.